You're listening to a Pave Media show.
Visit pavemedia.net for more podcasts and video entertainment.
So, John, please tell me, what is your worst job interview?
Well, I mean, it would be hard to top the time when I was doing a Skype interview, sat at my table, and at the time, two of the underrated supporting cast of this podcast, my goldfish, they lived on my table as well.
You say two of the underrated supporting cast. I mean, one of them has been recast multiple times.
Yes. Well, that is true. One of them does have a tendency to die a lot. But anyway, they at the time lived on my rather lovely glass tabletop that we're currently recording on, in a big tank. Well, it's about a 40-gallon tank. I'd recently upgraded them from a much smaller tank. I put this new tank on the table, and then I also used this table to do my general office work and stuff. So I placed my laptop on the table to do the Skype interview, and I was doing really well. I think I was crushing it. I was answering questions. I had good examples. I was confident. I was chatty. And then midway through the interview, my table collapsed, just completely collapsed under the weight of the fish tank. Obviously, cutting off the Skype straight away. The table went crashing down. I cut my hand quite badly, and the flat was flooded with water. And I think the last thing that the interviewer saw was just because the laptop fell off the table, obviously. So as the internet cut out, I think the last thing he saw was a freezer of my face sideways, just looking horrified and probably in agonising pain. So yeah, I didn't get that job.
Wow, great. How did the fish do?
They lived. They actually both lived. That didn't kill them. Yeah, so that's tragic. They survived that, and then one of them just jumped out the tank. Well,
maybe it just thought it wasn't being treated very well.
Well, maybe not.
Or maybe its view down from the floor currently is just not as good as it was on the table.
I think that might be it, yeah.
It's just the old days.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor fish.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome everybody to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where we pitch prequels, sequels and spin-offs to films that don't have any. I'm Harry, joining me as always is John.
Hello.
And today, for the first time in about a million years, it's me choosing a film.
Oh, good, yes. You've been waiting a while.
Yeah, it's been ages.
Yeah. Well, you've got your moment now, take it, run with it.
Yeah. So this week, I thought that in response to doing a Glenn Close season, I'd do just a single film, which feels more manageable, on the better version of Glenn Close, which is Meryl Streep.
Okay.
No disagreement there from you. Great.
Well, I mean, it's not really nice to compare women. They're both good in their own way. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. One's better in the same way.
Sure. Okay.
Anyway, so it's Devil Wears Prada today.
Yay!
And before we get to some sequels, probably do a little plot summary, talk about the film a little bit.
Sure.
What did you think of this? How many times have you seen this before?
I've seen this a few times before. I really like this film. This is a good, fun film. Maybe surprisingly, not one of my all-time favourites, though. I think it's a good, fun film, but doesn't quite hit that level of I will watch this multiple times a year and just laugh every time. I find this film to be very good.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a just above average film that is very elevated by two amazing performances. Neither of which is Anne Hathaway. She's fine. She's perfectly fine in this, but she is definitely, she's got the hardest role. She's playing the straight man, essentially. She doesn't really get a lot of the good lines, but obviously Meryl Streep and also Emily Blunt are just outstanding in this film.
Yeah.
So much fun. So for that, I think they are the reason this film is as revered as it is. I think otherwise it would be less well regarded, I think. And the writing's pretty good in places. There's some really good lines, but
oh, there's some outstanding lines.
There are actually some brilliant lines, which Emily Blunt and Meryl Streep absolutely relish.
Yeah. No, I think Meryl's definitely got some of the best lines in the whole thing. I think my favourite bit of hers is sort of midway through when Anne Hathaway comes in that blue jumper and just calls fashion stuff or something like that, and then Meryl Streep just goes on a whole massive rant, but without breaking her emotion or anything.
Oh, that's one of the greatest speeches of all time. That is such a good scene, and it's so well delivered. I think that was her Oscar clip, and deservedly so.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Here, it's a tough call. They're so different.
Something funny?
No, nothing's, it's just that both those belts look exactly the same to me, I'm still learning about this stuff and,
This stuff? Oh, okay. I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. But what you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue, it's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually cerulean. And you're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns, and then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers. And then it filtered down through the department stores and then trickled on down into some tragic casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff.
So I guess for a bit of a plot summary, so Anne Hathaway is somebody who has, I think, just got the job as the assistant, or
She's interviewing for the job, I think.
She's interviewing. I don't remember any point where someone says, "You've got the job, well done."
No, I think Emily Blunt kind of gives her a look that says, "You've got the job." But well, I think she was assigned to the job, but she still needed to pass a.
So it's sort of like a trial shift sort of
Possibly.
thing.
Well, she has to have an interview with Miranda Priestley, the Meryl Streep character, sort of.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how these things work. It's said that she'd been sent over from HR. I'm guessing she was like from a temping agency or something.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit confusing how everybody's always like, "Oh yeah, 1 million girls were killed for this job."
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why have none of them got it?
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Why has Anne Hathaway got it?
Just look at the drawer, I don't know. Yeah.
But anyway, Anne Hathaway has got this job in a fashion magazine called Runway.
Yeah.
And she's one of 2 assistants. She's the number 2 assistant behind Emily Blunt for Miranda Priestley, which was Meryl Streep's character.
Yes.
And Miranda Priestley, I believe, is based on a real person.
Yeah, Anna Wintour, yes.
Okay.
And Runway is basically a stand-in for Vogue. It's basically Vogue magazine in all the name, so yeah. Yes, because this is based on a book that was written by a woman called Lauren Weisberger, who was an intern or an assistant for a brief period for Anna Wintour, and I believe got fired, and then wrote this kind of thinly veiled novel that was obviously about Anna Wintour. Yeah. And then it became a bestseller, and then it became a film. And this is that film.
Great. Yeah, and so Miranda Priestley is the most impossible boss ever, and everybody's scared of her. Like, you get introduced to her through a fantastic montage, incredible montage of just Meryl Streep walking into a building.
And people fleeing.
It's so simple, but just so great as well. I love Emily Blunt's reaction to it at the start, because, I mean, I guess surely it just happens every day.
Yeah.
Just like Meryl Streep comes.
Well, I think the idea is that she's earlier than expected, so everyone's like, shit! Yeah.
Yeah, I just love Emily Blunt. It's like, oh my god, she's coming, tell everyone!
I mean, Emily Blunt really...
I mean everyone!
Yeah. Emily Blunt really comes in hot at this film. Like, she is like straight in at 11, which I really enjoyed. She was wearing so much eyeshadow.
Yes.
Such heavy eyeshadow.
Yes.
Yeah. Her whole look was great with the shoulder pads and like just the bony features. I believe it was her first major film role. This was a true breakout performance for her.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Good for her. I mean, I think that the first costume she was wearing, I did have to comment, is she a supervillain?
She looks a lot like a vampire, doesn't she? Yeah, like a vampire or a supervillain, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, it suits her.
Definitely. I could totally see her in some kind of Marvel thing as a supervillain, definitely. I think that's a role she should play.
Yeah, and so Meryl Streep is just walking into the building, everybody's running away from her, and, you know, beforehand they've all put their heels on, you know, taking their slippers off and whatever. I guess Anne Hathaway's just on this kind of trial shift with Miranda Priestley. Anne Hathaway has no sense of fashion, seemingly. Yeah, and just dresses like an absolute normal person.
Like an absolute normie.
Yeah.
What a absolute norm.
But luckily, everybody's favourite gay best friend, Stanley Tucci, is on hand.
Stanley Tucci typecasting himself for life in this performance. Like, I love how it's basically the same performance he does a couple of years later in Burlesque. Literally the same.
Yeah.
Like, he's not even gay, but he just seems to play a lot of gays. I'm sure he's in... Well, he's not... I don't think he's gay in the Hunger Games, but he's certainly flamboyant. Like, he gets a lot of these kind of roles, I think. So.
A friend of mine once saw him and his wife while his wife was breastfeeding at the Home Office in London.
Oh, really? You know, his wife is Emily Blunt's sister.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Wow. So someone you know has seen Emily Blunt's sister's boobs, is what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Great. Wow. Exciting story.
Don't know where to go from that.
No, that's pretty. Unless there's more to that story. Right?
Nope. Yeah,
he's
so
a delight.
Stanley Tucci is fantastic. I guess he's just one of the designers.
Well, he's certainly high up on the editorial team. I don't remember what his exact job is, but he seems like Miranda's favourite.
Yeah.
Or if she's capable of having a favourite, or maybe the one who pisses her off the least, like
Something like that,
She
yeah.
seems to be. He seems to be the most in tune with her various whims and demands and her taste as well.
I reckon that they're absolutely friends, but just she doesn't show it.
Yeah.
I doubt that she would show that she's friends with anybody.
Yeah. I think one of the things in this film is that I think Miranda Priestley respects people who don't fear her. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why Emily Blunt never quite gets ahead, because she has utmost respect, but she's terrified of her. And so Meryl doesn't have any respect, or Miranda has no respect for her. Whereas I feel like that's probably why her and Anne Hathaway form something of a bond. I mean, a bond's probably too close a word, but, you know, there's a certain grudging respect that occurs in the film, because Anne Hathaway isn't actually particularally scared of her. Like, she's trying really hard to impress her, but she's not terrified in the way that Emily Blunt is terrified of her. And I think Stanley Tucci's the same. I don't think he's as scared of her. I think he's able to somewhat just relax around her as much as anyone possibly could. So that's probably why.
Yeah.
That was the vibe I got anyway.
Yeah. And so he helps Anne Hathaway out by...
Makeover.
Yeah. I mean, I like the way that Anne Hathaway asked for it as well. Like, she just gave him a look, and he's like, no, not happening, never happening, and then cut to montage.
It's makeover montage,
It's
yeah.
literally happening.
You think this is just a magazine? This is not just a magazine. This is a shining beacon of hope for... Oh, I don't know. Let's say a young boy growing up in Rhode Island with 6 brothers, pretending to go to soccer practice when he was really going to sewing class, and reading Runway under the covers at night with a flashlight. You have no idea how many legends have walked these halls. And what's worse, you don't care. Because this place, where so many people would die to work, you only deign to work. And you want to know why she doesn't kiss you on the forehead and give you a gold star on your homework at the end of the day. Wake up, sweetheart.
Okay, so I'm screwing it up. I mean, I don't want to. I just wish that I knew what I could do to... Nigel.
No.
There's then also the montage of her walking to work now that she's learnt fashion.
Yes, yeah,
essentially.
which is basically a costume montage.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just she changes costume every time the camera looks at her. You know, a car goes past, she's in a different costume.
Yes.
And then she arrives at work in what must be the 20th costume of this montage. And everybody starts looking at her as though it's the first time she's dressed up. I'm like, well, what about those other ones? What happened there? Is this a film told out of time?
Maybe she didn't have the confidence to walk into the office. She was just like
She only got
practicing
that
on the
far.
streets, and then she just put a big jumper over the top of everything.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I don't know. Well, I was puzzled as to why. So the makeover happens quite late in the film, because she does go to work dressed very much in a film version of like looking dowdy. So she's wearing like big chunky knit sweaters and like these hideous skirts. One of the many times she gets in trouble, she goes to Stanley Tucci like in tears. She's like, she hates me, and then he gives her this big pep talk, and then she talks him into giving her a makeover. And I was like, well, if we've established one thing, it is that you are working very, very hard. Like, you've just got in a load of trouble. How have you now got time to just sack off work for a few hours to get a full, not just makeover, but like she got a haircut. She must have left the office. Like, she got new makeup, everything. Like, she had a full makeover. I was like, was there no filings to be done that day?
No,
like,
I guess not.
No phones to pick up? Like, where was Emily Blunt?
Yeah, and so then from there... Oh yeah, so there's also this Paris trip that Emily Blunt has been talking about since minute 1 of the film.
Yes, she's very excited for that. Well, you've missed over all of the ridiculous demands that Meryl makes, which I think are pretty funny.
Oh, remind me.
She walks in the office every day and just flings her coat and bag theatrically onto the desk. She always has like 7 or 8 different demands at once, and she just kind of reels them off, and Emily Blunt and Anne Hathaway just have to be psychic, essentially. Yeah. But yeah, the first one is that Anne Hathaway's at dinner with her dad, and she gets a call that Meryl's stranded somewhere where there's like a hurricane.
Oh, yeah, like Florida or something.
Yeah, and there's like she's like, get me a plane, and then all the planes are grounded because it's literally a hurricane. And you just see Meryl going like, it's just drizzling, and you just see like lightning flashing and like palm trees being uprooted. It's a lot of fun. I think that's the one where she gets in trouble that makes her get the makeover. That's when Meryl finally gets back. when Miranda finally gets back.
Yeah.
She gets basically told that she's a disappointment.
Yeah. And then is that the point where she says, "Oh, I want my twins to have the new Harry Potter book"?
No, that's the second time. So the makeover, she just gets the makeover because she gets shouted at, or not shouted at. She gets, put down by Meryl. Then she gets in trouble even more when she takes the book of Vogue,
yes, that's it,
to Meryl's house, and she's instructed to leave it on the desk. But the evil shining twins, they are Meryl's children in this film, trick her into taking it upstairs, and she overhears Meryl having a domestic with her husband, and that's a huge deal. Yeah. And through that, Meryl decides to punish her by making her go and find the new Harry Potter transcript.
Yeah, by which she means the unreleased book.
Yeah.
Not even just the latest book.
Yeah.
Yeah, which obviously Anne Hathaway tries a little bit and then gives up very quickly, and she's like, "Well, I guess I'm fired." She just, calls her boyfriend, and she's like, "I'm fired. This is great.
Yeah.
We can, carry on our relationship now without any problems."
We'll get to the boyfriend. I have strong thoughts about the boyfriend.
Yeah. And then luckily, this other guy that she met at some fashion party.
We're all a sleazy sleazeball with the alarming eyebrows.
Yeah. His eyebrows were so weird.
They were so alarming.
Were they on upside down?
I felt like that, and I don't know if he dyed them.
It looked like everything in the film was lit from above, but his eyebrows were lit from below.
Yeah, they had their own spotlights.
Yeah. That's what it looked like. It was just unnerving.
I found him profoundly unattractive. It made it hard for me to accept that she would have any interest in him, because he just was so sleazy and so slimy, such an obvious slime ball. I mean, he does manage to save the day because he's a journalist.
Yeah, he knows somebody in publishing.
He knows someone who knows J.K. Rowling's illustrator or something. And apparently
that's it. The illustrator has access to the entire book,
which seems unlikely.
It's not like the illustrator of a Roald Dahl novel, where every page is pictures.
No, sure.
No, it's Harry Potter where there's just a cover.
And this is presumably Harry Potter's 5 or 6 books deep at this point. Those manuscripts were lock and key, guards with guns. There's no way the illustrator was just take it for a few hours, photocopy it, just don't tell anyone. There was no way.
Yes.
But, I mean...
And so all this happens in the space of, I don't know, a couple hours or something.
Yeah.
Meryl's like, "Oh, when I get back this afternoon,
yeah.
I want 2 copies of this on my desk for the twins to read."
Yeah.
Meryl gets back, and not only is Anne Hathaway given up, quit her job for a while, come back, had to go and borrow the transcript from somebody, maybe on the other side of town, I don't know, go and get it photocopied 3 times, and bound as well, just to make it look nice. Delivers 1 to Meryl and delivers 2 to the twins, who are already on a train somewhere. Yeah.
Well, I mean...
there's a lot going on there.
Spoiler alert, it does turn out that Anne Hathaway is the Flash. So
yeah.
That's how she does that. This is definitely a film to, not watch critically. To just suspend all disbelief and just be sure. Yeah, it's a good time. Pretty clothes. Good one-liners. Nothing else matters particularly. So, yeah.
Meanwhile, Emily Blunt's been having her own thing where she's had a cold, quite badly, in what looks like it could be kind of contagious, and so Miranda's just like, "I want to stay away from that, please."
I think her line is an incubus of viral plague, which I steal all the time. I love that line.
Yeah. And so Emily Blunt gets knocked down to assistant number 2, I think.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't get actively demoted, I think.
No, yeah, I noticed that she didn't actually get demoted, but she was then doing those tasks, and Miranda started dropping her bag and coat on her desk instead.
Yeah. I think she just likes playing mind games as Meryl.
Yeah.
I think she likes torturing Emily Blunt a lot.
Yeah. And so then Meryl has a conversation with Anne Hathaway saying that, you're going to come to Paris with me instead of Emily. Yeah. And you've got to tell her.
Yeah. Again, mind games.
Yeah.
Mind games.
Which is just horrible. As far as Anne Hathaway, I'd have been no. I will quit. You can do your own dirty work. Yeah, and so then Anne Hathaway is really trying to tell her, trying to tell her at every moment, and eventually she calls her while Emily is, just buying something from the shops or something like that for Miranda. She's just running around New York, and she gets hit by, I think, a taxi. Yeah,
which is actually kind of a lucky break for Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
Because then I didn't understand why it then cut to her telling Emily Blunt what was happening, when clearly Emily Blunt... This is such an easy way out. It's like, oh, great, well, it's a shame you got hit by that car. I guess you can't go to Paris now,
yeah.
But no, she decides to tell her anyway, so now she's just even more pissed off, which is...
Well, I mean, good for Anne Hathaway for being honest.
Well, I mean, if someone's just been hit by a car, do you really want to hit them with more bad news?
Yeah. I don't know.
No, you're pretty blunt.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that pretty much decides that Anne Hathaway is going to go to Paris, and she does. With
Emily Blunt has a great little meltdown in the hospital bed, though.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is that like she doesn't eat. So, like, that's that.
Oh yeah,
amazing
she's
line
got to
with-
maintain her size 4 or whatever she is.
size 0, I think it's supposed to be, or whatever. Yeah, well, she's obviously very skinny.
I think she said that they were always saying like size 4 or 2, so maybe it was size 2.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's very thin anyway, alarmingly thin. But yeah, because she has that great line about how she's the diet she's on is that she eats nothing until she feels like she's about to faint, and then she eats a whole block of cheese.
Yeah.
It's all in the delivery, but yeah, no, there's just that great scene in the hospital bed of her like shoveling chocolate yogurt into her mouth and then just like tearing at bread and just being like, "You eat carbs!" She's having a full meltdown, and I really enjoyed it.
Do you know what really just gets me about this whole thing is that, you know, you're the one who said that you don't really care about this stuff. And you don't really care about fashion. You just want to be a journalist. And what a pile of bollocks.
Emily, I know you're mad. I don't blame you.
Face it, Andy. You sold your soul the day you put on that first pair of Jimmy Choos. I saw it. And do you know what really just kills me about this whole thing? It's the clothes that you're gonna get. I mean, you don't deserve them. You eat carbs, for Christ's sake. God, so unfair.
Yeah, and so Anne Hathaway goes to Paris with Miranda and goes to see all the fashion shows in Paris and whatever's going on in Paris.
Yeah, fashion shows.
Sure.
Couture.
It makes Paris look way nicer than it actually is.
Yeah, films often do that.
Yeah. I think that's why people go to Paris, because films make Paris look
film lies
lovely.
to them, yeah.
Yeah. Like, nobody got pickpocketed once.
Nope.
Or was tried to sell, like, tiny little statues of the Eiffel Tower.
Well, I was thinking as well that when Anne Hathaway gets her makeover, she's wearing so much, like, really chunky jewellery. And she's just walking around New York with this huge chunky jewellery on. And I'm like, you are asking to be mugged. You are absolutely begging to be mugged. You're so vulnerable right now. It was, well, obviously, not that kind of film.
So, yeah, they're in Paris, and, well, kind of forget, actually. It's pretty much the end of the film, but what happens?
So she's broken up with her horrible boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
So she's a bit adrift, and then she runs into the sleazy, scary eyebrows writer guy, who's also in Paris for the shows. They sleep together, and then he kind of lets slip. Well, there's that classic kind of thing where she's getting out of bed, and the evidence is on the floor.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he's working with the owner of the magazine to kind of push Miranda out of her job and replace her with her French rival, Jacqueline.
Yeah.
So Anne Hathaway totally panics, goes to tell Meryl. Oh, before that, she has like that little moment with Meryl where Meryl's husband leaves her. She's getting a divorce. So Anne Hathaway goes into the hotel room and sees Miranda wearing no makeup whatsoever. Like, very, very different to how she normally looks. And she kind of gets a bit vulnerable for a moment and says that she's getting divorced and she feels really bad about the kids and stuff. And she has a little human moment.
Yeah.
But then after that, Anne Hathaway finds out that Meryl's about to get fired. So she races all over Paris to try and tell her, and Meryl's just like being very objectionable, just being like, "Go away, I don't want to talk to you right now." It turns out she already knew.
Yeah.
And then it turns out what she did, Meryl, was she managed to save her job by throwing Stanley Tucci under the bus, because he was supposed to be getting another really prestigious job that he's been waiting for years. And then Meryl made sure that her French rival took that job instead.
Yes.
And then she basically blackmailed the publisher by saying that if you ever fire me, everyone who I've ever worked with will come with me, and you'll have nobody who will be in your magazine anymore. So she wins, and Anne Hathaway's concern is useless. But then Anne Hathaway feels kind of bad for Stanley Tucci, and she kind of confronts Meryl about it. She's like...
Stanley Tucci's reaction to this is really good.
It's really, really good, yeah. I'm surprised he doesn't find out sooner. Like, it feels like he finds out when Meryl gives this speech at the party. I was like, surely there's contracts to be signed and things. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Again, it's
true.
the magic of films.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's really good in this scene when you see his hopes just like fade in his eyes, and he's like, she'll pay me back one day when the time's right. And he's like, do you believe that? I have to.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
good. He was great.
We at Runway are very proud to have been one of the first.
When the time is right, she'll pay me back.
You sure about that?
No. But I hope for the best.
Meryl throws Stanley Tucci under the bus. Anne Hathaway confronts her about it a little bit and says, I could never do what you did to... What was his character's called?
Stanley Tucci plays Nigel.
Oh, I could never do what you did to Nigel, she says. And then Meryl's like, you already did to Emily. Basically, she makes Anne Hathaway confront the fact that she's absolutely complicit in this world of backstabbing, and and Anne Hathaway has a moment of realization, and she finally quits her job. She walks out the taxi.
She quits her job in probably the worst time to do so for Miranda.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Quite intentionally, but
also throws her phone in a fountain, which like, you'd think she'd get billed for that. Like,
and also, she's in Paris. She's got to get around.
Yeah, that's going to be a really awkward flight home.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure she's not allowed to sit next to her, but like, I'm sure she has the flights booked.
Oh yeah, that's it. I didn't really think of that. Yeah.
And she can't even phone anyone to like get new flights. Like, she's made a huge mistake. But anyway, so she quits the job, and then the film ends with her interviewing for a new job at a New York Timesy kind of newspaper. Yeah, because that's what she always wanted to be, a serious journalist. She never really wanted to work in fashion. She was just trying to get some doors opened. Yeah, and she interviews for this job, and they're like, "Well, what the hell was that less than a year of runway all about?" And she says, "Yeah, I kind of screwed that one up." And then the editor reveals that he's spoken to Miranda Priestley, and she said he should absolutely hire her. So, a little moment of mutual respect.
No, it was a weird review reference because Miranda said something like, "Oh yeah, Anne Hathaway has been my biggest disappointment. Yeah, but you'd be mad not to hire her." Yeah, or something like that. Which is just that's odd.
Well, that's her style, isn't it? She's never going to give complete praise. It's going to be an insult, but also with help up the ladder a bit. But yeah, so clearly that's the way to get ahead with powerful people. Just dump them at their most vulnerable moments, and then throw a very expensive phone into a fountain, and they will absolutely recommend that you get hired by the next person you work with for. That's going to happen.
Yeah. Just after that, Meryl walks out of her building into her car, makes eye contact with Anne Hathaway across the road. Anne Hathaway waves and smiles, and is just Anne Hathaway. Miranda doesn't respond like that at all, and then when she's in her car with her tinted windows, we see her cracking her first smile of the movie.
A hint of a smile. Yeah,
it's not a hint of a smile, it's a strong smile. Okay. It's a pretty strong smile, yeah. Right. But then as soon as the driver says something, like, she instantly goes right back to pouting. Yeah.
It would have been fun if she'd just been like, "Hiya!
Yeah.
Hey, babes! Did you get the job? Yeah. Did you get my reference?"
And so that's how the film finishes.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, it's very, very formulaic, but it's a good time. I would say that the first half is better than the second half. I would say once Emily Blunt's not in it anymore, it takes a noticeable dip for me. Yeah. Just because Emily Blunt's so good, so much fun to watch.
Well, it just gets into plot at that point.
Yeah.
Initially, it's all just sort of, here's this new world that we can explore.
Exactly. I didn't really care about the plot or Anne Hathaway's character.
Fair enough.
So when it got to that bit, I was kind of like, give me more bitchiness and fun clothes. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't do what you did to Nigel, Miranda. I couldn't do something like that.
You already did.
To Emily. That's not what No, that was different. I didn't have a choice.
Oh, no, you chose. You chose to get ahead. You want this life? Those choices are necessary.
But what if this isn't what I want? I mean, what if I don't want to live the way you live?
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Andrea. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants to be us.
Great. Are you ready to get to some drinking games before sequels, or do you have one or two things to talk?
No, let's go to drinking games.
Lovely. So, first one I've got is drink whenever anybody refers to Meryl or Miranda in the third person.
Yeah, that's good. Do you mean just like she's coming? Or
yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's like she's she who must not be named. Like,
pretty much, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. First, obvious one for me, drink for Montages. I mean, they do make up 50% of this movie.
Yes.
With the most, 2007 soundtrack. Like, it's so of its moment. Like,
so what's the soundtrack for the Montages? We've got Vogue by Madonna.
Yeah, which isn't, to be fair, isn't a 2007 song, but it was a very obvious choice. There was Jump from Madonna, that was from that album she had out at the time.
Sure, we got Katie Tunstall.
Yeah, Suddenly I See, which has been in my head all week thanks to this goddamn film. God, what else is there?
I nearly saw Katie Tunstall live once at Shrewsbury Folk Festival. She didn't turn up because her dad died, and also I got kicked out of the festival. So
bad weekend for both of you.
Yeah, unrelated.
What did you do? I can't remember what else there is, but it's all very much songs in that vein, just like hits of 2007.
Sure,
there's a lot.
Okay, next I've got is drink anytime anybody looks anyone else up and down.
Ooh, that's good, yeah.
Just essentially looks at anybody not into their eyes, just like, what are you wearing, sort of thing.
Most scenes with Meryl or Emily doing that, yeah.
I mean, I think when anybody walks into a room that Meryl's in, the first thing she does is just have a quick look at them, which is...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Nice subtle bit of acting.
Definitely. Oh, she does great face work in this film. Her eye work is spot on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd want to drink for Meryl's side eye.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Drunk for old phones.
Yeah. Old as in 2007 phones. Yeah, like Blackberries were still a thing back then. So,
yeah.
You get a lot of Blackberries, don't you? So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Drink anytime the boyfriend belittles Anne Hathaway's dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is where I want to talk about the boyfriend. He is awful. He is such a dick.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I was doing the social media for this episode, like to get the listener submissions and stuff, I referred to it as a rom-com. And then I thought to myself, is this film a rom-com?
It's not, is it?
It's not.
I keep wanting to refer to it like that as well, but...
I think we're just conditioned to think, which is a bad thing, to think that films like aimed at women have to always be rom-coms. Because this is obviously a film aimed at women mostly.
Yeah.
But no, it's not at all, because the rom, and it is between her and Meryl. Not that it's a romantic rom, but that's the relationship.
That's the relationship, yeah.
Yeah. And... the boyfriend, it's a horrible toxic relationship and he's awful, and it's also not very important to the film, thankfully, because I didn't need any more of him.
No.
But yeah, he was so petulant and I think they could have done quite an interesting story about somebody taking like a job that was, they didn't really want, but that they knew was an opportunity, and how the strain that puts on their relationship, and that kind of work-life balance. She misses her boyfriend's birthday, which does suck, obviously, and she doesn't get to spend a lot of time with her friends, which all that's meat for quite an interesting story. But because the boyfriends and the friends as well are all so unlikable, and so they just they seem to have no empathy for a situation whatsoever, it makes it really one-sided. And I hate the scene at the end when she comes crawling back to him, and she's like, I was an asshole, and he's like, yeah, you were. Like, at no point does he admit any kind of responsibility for being too hard on her, or for not standing by her and supporting her. I thought he just came across as a really unpleasant character. Didn't like him at all.
Yep.
There are no good men in this film, apart from the gay man. So.
Apart from Stanley Tucci.
Yeah. The only good man in the film.
Yeah. Okay, next one I've got is drink anytime Emily Blunt reminds Anne Hathaway how much better she is.
Oh, yes. Again, I've got every time Emily Blunt unleashes a sick burn.
Yeah.
Right. I will deal with all of this, and you will go to Calvin Klein.
Me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have some prior commitment? Some hideous skirt convention you have to go to?
Oh, thank God it's Friday, right? At least Miranda will be in Miami, so we don't have to be on call this weekend. My dad's coming in from Ohio. Yeah, we're gonna go out to dinner and maybe see Chicago. You doing anything fun this weekend?
Yes.
Big a deal, I promise. The twins said hello, so I said hello back, and then I went up the stairs to give her the book, and...
You went upstairs? You went upstairs. Oh, my God. Why didn't you just climb into bed with her and ask for a bedtime story?
Okay. I have 4 hours to get the impossible manuscript. Smith & Wollensky's doesn't open until 11:30. How am I going to get the steak? Okay. I will be back in 15 minutes. Wish me luck.
No, shan't.
Last one I've got is anytime Meryl says, that's all.
That's good. My last one is drink anytime Meryl puts on or removes her glasses. You will be hammered.
Yeah, okay, sure.
You will be absolutely hammered.
Cool, great stuff. So, right, before we get to some sequels, just want to let you listeners know that we are available on patreon.com. If you were to go to patreon.com/beyondtheboxset, then you can find bonus shows from us where we review cinema releases. I think the most recent one we've done as of this episode would probably be Pet Sematary, I think.
Yeah, or our free Avengers episode as well came out recently.
Yeah, we've done an Avengers Endgame spoiler review, which is free for anybody to listen to. Was, I don't know, maybe a little trial or something.
Yeah, sure. See how you like our bonus episodes.
Yeah, there's a couple of free episodes.
They're not always as long as that one, but
No, they're not.
Harry had a lot to talk about.
They're normally half that length.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
But then so are most films. So.
Pardon?
So are most films, to be fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Also, if you become a Patreon, then you get to have a 30-second advert slot on the main show once a month, for which you can advertise anything you want. Could be your podcast, a friend's podcast, your own business, or just, whatever you feel like talking about.
And at this juncture, I would like to... This is normally your job, but I don't think I've prepped you for it, so I'll do it this week. If you do want to advertise something, you can record a 30-second ad slot that we'll put into the show. But also, if you don't have that available or don't want to, we can just promote it for you. So one of our patrons, a lovely man called Daniel Tickner from Australia, who's been on the show before. We did the Wolf Children episode with him.
Yep.
He has a podcast called Aussie Nerd, and you can find that on all good podcasting platforms. Just search Aussie Nerd. I've been on the show. I think you're going to be on at some point, aren't you?
I'm hoping to record this week, actually.
Oh, great, cool. So yeah, we'll both be on it at some point. Mine, I already have. I was talking about my favourite film in the whole world, Muriel's Wedding, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, just search Aussie Nerd podcast and check out Daniel's work. It's very, very good.
Right.
Thank you for your support, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. And finally, the third thing you get as a Patreon supporter, you get to pick an episode for us once a month.
Yes.
So once a month we pick out a different Patreon, and they can guest on the show if they want to. If not, we'll just do it. And that's it. I keep saying and. That's it.
It's like you're improvising. Yes, and.
Yeah.
Yes, and. Never know. Never full stop.
So all that is available at patreon.com/beyondtheboxset. You can donate as much or as little as you want and get everything.
Indeed.
Cool. Okay, so sequels. You're first for the...
I am first this week. For a while, yeah. For the first time in a while, I'm first. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, this film is based on a book that was written by Lauren Weisberger, who worked for Anna Wintour at Vogue, I believe got fired, wrote this thinly veiled memoir about her experiences. That became a huge bestseller, then it became a hit film starring Meryl Streep. So I thought for the sequel to this film, I thought it might be fun to go a little bit meta. So this movie, this sequel, picks up roughly 10 years after the events of the original, so more or less present day. And Anne Hathaway's character, what was she called again?
Andy.
Anne Hathaway's
Sachs.
Andy Sachs. It sounds like a department store.
Yeah.
Andy Sachs.
That sounds like Goldman Sachs.
Well, yeah, possibly. That's probably what I'm thinking. Yeah. Yeah, so she is now working as a journalist, but she never really hit the big time. Like, she got into print journalism, she's doing news, but like most journalists, she doesn't make a lot of money. It's not a very glamorous job, even though most films make it look like the most glamorous job in the world. In reality, it's not. It's hard. It's very low paid.
Yeah.
So she's kind of a struggling New York journalist, and she's just been laid off from the paper she works at due to budget cuts. Because again, print journalism is losing money hand over fist, so it's a very hard industry to be in these days. So she loses her job, she's short of cash, she's kind of depressed, and she doesn't really know what to do next. So she's at a bit of a crossroads in her life.
Yeah.
And so her friend, first of all, I'm writing out the boyfriend. He was an arsehole. He's not sticking around. Relationship was clearly doomed. So I'm going to say that the only friend who survives from the first film is the gay.
Stanley Tucci.
Not Stanley Tucci, sorry, no, the other gay. Or maybe he wasn't gay. They were never clear on it. I think he was gay.
One of her friends.
The gay friend, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the slightly chubbier guy.
Yeah, I thought he was gay as well.
I'm pretty sure he was, because I think the other girl introduces him to a guy at one point. Like, yes.
I don't think you see it, but I think she's like,
No.
I've got someone I want you to meet.
Yeah, I think it's just heavily implied, because he knows all the fashion stuff. Not to stereotype, but yes. Anyway, he seemed like the only friend who wasn't an arsehole. He was the only one who seemed to appreciate that she had a really good job, and then, so he can stay. He can be the friend that she sticks around with.
Yeah.
So he kind of suggests to her that she should use her newfound free time to maybe write a book, since she's a really good writer. Maybe that'll be a more productive way to make a living. And so she kind of says, "Well, I don't know what I'm going to write about. I don't have any ideas." And he says, "Well, why didn't you write about the time that you worked for Miranda Priestley? That was kind of an interesting little chapter in your life. I'm sure people would be interested to read about that, because of course Miranda Priestley in this film is still famous. Much as Anna Wintour. Still head of Vogue, still head of Runway. So she's skeptical at first, but it is probably the most interesting thing that's ever happened in her life. So she's like, well, sure, she gives it a go. Then she has to write the book, which we'll cover with a good old montage. What's a good montage song for writing a book? Paperback writer. Very on the nose,
Sure, yeah.
Something, I don't know. Just get a montage of her just at a typewriter or something, even though nobody writes books on a typewriter anymore in 2017.
Oh my god.
But just it's the magic of cinema.
Yeah.
She's
Can
writing
you just say that we're in 2017?
Sorry, if this is 10 years after the original, there's the...
Oh, right, okay.
It doesn't matter. This isn't time specific particularly. Anyway, we do the montage, she writes the book, and it gets published. Several months later, she finishes it, and it's picked up right away. And it becomes a huge, huge success, because all the hype around it being an expose of the fashion industry and about this mysterious but well-known magazine writer just make it a huge success.
Yeah.
Because that Anna Wintour, the head of Vogue, who it's supposed to be about, was already very well known, and she did have this very famous reputation of being very kind of demanding and hard to work with, and very particular. So it was really people were really interested in this look behind the curtain. So that's why the book sold millions and millions, and so this is what this does the same.
Yeah, sure.
This film follows that. So the book is a huge success, and she's written it as a piece of fiction, much like The Devil Wears Prada is technically fiction, but everyone obviously sees through straight away that it's about Miranda Priestley.
Yeah.
And in fact, we're going to see now, just after maybe there'll be a second montage of the book being published, and you'll obviously have the obligatory the presses, or all the books being pressed, and then going into the stores, all the things you always see in these things. And then we're going to have have a shot of Meryl as Miranda Priestley, like reading the book, and we'll just have her reading the book, and she can just do all the acting in her eyebrows. Just her eyebrows can just get higher and higher and higher. I think that'd be a fun scene, a fun shot. Yeah. So the book comes out. It's a huge success. Everyone knows what it's really about, and because it's so successful, it is very quickly optioned for a movie.
Okay,
so now they're making a movie within a movie. Of The Devil Wears Prada. So I thought this is going to be the meat of the film, because I thought it'd be kind of fun. In the first film, Anne Hathaway gets dragged into the ridiculous world of fashion, and in this film, she's going to get dragged into the ridiculous world of Hollywood and filmmaking. Because she'll be like a producer on her own film, so she'll be, she won't be directing it, but she'll be having a creative voice in it. So she'll be, obviously there'll be loads of changes made that she's not happy about, and she'll have to witness all the insanity. So kind of similar to the first, but different. Classic kind of, let's tell the same story, but in a slightly different genre. Like Speed 2 Cruise Control. Same story on a boat. Yeah, that kind of thing. Not that was a hugely successful film, but, Anyway, so obviously we're going to have to cast the film within the film. So who's playing Miranda Priestley? Who's playing Meryl Streep as Miranda Priestley?
Glenn Close.
Obviously Glenn Close, yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. It's obviously Glenn Close. For the Andy character, I was thinking maybe Emilia Clarke. Yeah. I think when she's not Game of Thronesing, she seems to have made a bit of a thing for herself as
she's
being
a bit kooky, yeah.
Ditzy and kooky. Yeah, I'm thinking of her in Me Before You. Again, like the girl, like the stunningly beautiful girl who just can't dress to save her life. Just that kind of thing again. So yeah. And then I wasn't sure about Emily though. Like, that's a hard one. I was thinking maybe that girl from Fleabag, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, or
I don't know who that is.
No. She's a hard one to recast. She's so perfect for the role. Like. Yeah. Anyway, we'll cast somebody as Emily. I don't know. Listeners, send any suggestions. Who could play a young Emily Blunt? So she's working on this film version of her book, and there's all kinds of craziness going on. Glenn is, of course, going completely over the top, as she does. She's definitely not doing a Miranda Priestley, Meryl Streep thing. Because what makes Meryl Streep's performance in this film, I think, brilliant, is that she never raises her voice. Yeah. It's all at this very soft level, and it makes it even more intimidating because she's so cosmically unbothered. Like, nothing flaps her. So I can't see Glenn Close doing that. I think Glenn Close would just be like screaming and chewing the scenery. We've seen it in the past month. We've seen a lot of Glenn overacting. So I think that'd be quite fun. Yeah, especially with Anne Hathaway being like, she wasn't like this at all. Like, you tell Glenn that, she's terrifying. Like, sure. Obviously, Emilia Clarke's just going to be falling over things all the time and doing eyebrow dancing. Just her standard rom-com acting. Yeah, and I guess whoever we pick to do Emily Blunt is probably going to be quite good at it. I don't know. Maybe she's just as scary as the character. Yeah. Or maybe she's like super nice, like sickly sweet. I don't know. There'll be something. Anyway, at some point she's going to run into actual Emily Blunt, or as in the character she played in the film, which was Emily. Oh, she was called Emily. That's right. That's easy to remember. She's going to run into Emily, who has left the fashion industry completely after having a complete nervous breakdown shortly after Andy left Runway. She has gained a lot of weight. She has shaved her head, and she started a new career as a boom mic operator. Oh, right, okay. I think that would be stuff that Emily Blunt would have a lot of fun playing. Sure. Like, she just completely, had a meltdown and just completely changed careers. So I like the idea of Emily Blunt with like a shaved head, which is like doing the most technical job in all of like film. Just like, what's more like unstylish than being a boom mic operator? I just think that'd be really fun. Yeah. And I'd like it if Andy was still terrified of it, but for different reasons. Like. So yeah, the film comes out, and Andy goes to the premiere, of course, and she wrote it. And also, Miranda Priestley goes to the premiere. Okay. So we'll see her. Obviously, she's going to have a fabulous gown. We're going to have lots of fabulous Meryl gowns in this. We'll see her go up to Glenn Close and give her a big old fake hug and a double cheek kiss. She's doing all the red carpet stuff. And then she'll kind of lock eyes with Andy, and she'll just give her like the most withering gaze. Just the most like burn this flesh off the bone kind of gaze. Just a classic Miranda Priestley look. Yeah. And obviously, Andy shits herself a little bit. And yeah, the film comes out. And even though she was kind of painted as a villain, to Andy's surprise, the Miranda Priestley character becomes like the breakout of the film, much like in the original film. Everyone's favourite character is probably Meryl. So, she has all the best lines, and, she gets kind of celebrated as a kind of classic example of like a powerful woman in the workplace. So it's a really well-received character. Glenn gets nominated for an Oscar, which of course she does not win. And the real Miranda...
It's won by Miranda Priestley.
It's won by Miranda, yeah. It's won by Meryl Streep in a dual role. Meryl Streep playing herself as well. And the real Miranda Priestley becomes an international icon, much like The Devil Wears Prada made Anna Wintour already well known, but since Devil Wears Prada, she really became like probably the most famous person in her field in terms of like, not many magazine editors are famous, but she very much is. So then we'll have another little montage of Meryl going on all the chat shows while Andy's stuck watching at home because nobody wants to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's being asked about this hit film that's supposed to be based on her, even though it's not officially based on her.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll just be being really like catty and passive aggressive, like, I don't even really remember her. I have so many assistants, like, you know. Which I think is what Anna Wintour was like when the thing came out.
Yeah.
I think she went to the premiere dressed entirely in Prada, so I think she had a good sense of humour about it.
Great.
Anyway, so Andy's feeling a bit put out, but on the plus side, she's loaded now. So you know, because the book sold like hundreds of millions worldwide, it's crazy. And because the movie and film have both become this sensational hits, she's asked to interview Miranda for a major publication. So they want to reunite them, and obviously she's terrified, but also like this is her chance to actually break into proper highbrow journalism. Because like obviously she was unemployed before she wrote the book, and now she's got a commission to write this feature that reunites her with Miranda Priestley. So she agrees reluctantly, and surprisingly Miranda also agrees to the interview.
Yep.
So the film's going to end with kind of a full circle moment where we see Andy very nervously walking into the offices of Runway. All of the models and the fashion mavens who work there are just going to be like judging her and whispering because they all know who she is. She's the one who wrote that book about their boss. And she's going to step into Miranda Priestley's office, and Meryl's going to sit down, deliver another evil, withering gaze, take off her glasses, and then credits roll.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, that could be good fun. It's got a title?
Well, I could name it after the second book that the writer wrote, which is called Revenge Wears Prada. I think that could work.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Revenge Wears Prada could work. So,
Yeah, very good. Okay. Right, let's see.
What have you got for me?
I have one that is, I mean, as yet untitled, because the only title I've got is crap.
Is it literally called crap, or?
No.
Okay.
The Devil Wears Crap.
The Devil Wears Crap. I mean, it's something.
No, so this one's going to be also set about 13 years later, which is the difference. And we start at Miranda's retirement party.
Oh, wow, okay.
Or retirement announcement or something. I don't know.
So
Anyway.
30 years later.
13, I said.
13. Oh,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, that's fair. She's 70, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Meryl Streep's 70, so...
Well, Meryl Streep is about to be 70 in
Okay.
June.
So theoretically, she could retire. I'm sure she never will.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid. Right?
Yeah.
What would the Oscars do? Who would they award?
I don't know, but...
Glenn Close would float the party of the century.
They would have to do an in memoriam at that point, just like Meryl Streep's career.
I've always thought this, like when, you know, God forbid, when Meryl Streep does die, whoever else dies that year is fucked. That memoriam is just going to be Meryl,
maybe like
rest.
Maybe if like a few people just kind of all agree to just go on the same year. Like you got Meryl,
Like
you got Tom Hanks,
Oh my god, like an A-list suicide pact.
Leo.
Leo, I mean, that's a rough deal for Leo. He's a cool 30 years younger than those people.
But yeah, that's the only way the memoriam could still be kind of equal, as if there's people of that caliber all dying at once.
Yeah, that would be quite an Oscars thing.
Right, 2023, here we come. Anyway, so this one is going to be set again 13 years later, and we start Miranda's retirement party. Everybody who's anybody is there.
Of course.
So there's plenty of famous models.
We have lots of cameos.
Of course, there's plenty of famous models like from Real Life 2019.
Sure.
There'll be plenty of heads of fashion, esteemed designers, and of course, all the people that are loyal to Miranda.
Great.
Which will include Stanley Tucci and Emily Blunt.
Oh, cool. Are they still working for her?
Yeah.
Great.
Probably in the same roles.
Probably, yes. I can well imagine that.
Yeah.
Well,
Meryl,
they're both going to be like, any day now. Any day now that promotion's coming. Like, we believe it.
Meryl is really putting on a face to pretend that she's having a good time, but really she's quite concerned that she doesn't actually have anybody to hand her life's work over to.
Oh, I see, yeah.
She doesn't want to just let anybody take her role. She wants to choose who that person is going to be.
Okay. Is this like a Hunger Games scenario?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's fashion. It's literally the Hunger Games.
Anyway, when the party finishes, she goes home and has a little talk with her husband about her predicament. He suggests that she tracks down Anne Hathaway, see if she'd be up for it. I'm just going to use actor names.
Yeah, sure.
And Meryl replies that although she did see herself in Anne Hathaway, she wasn't into fashion.
I was going to say, that's not a good choice for fashion.
Both Meryl and Anne had a lot of passion, but not for the same things.
Yeah, Anne's passion was not for fashion.
Yeah. Who else is there? Her husband asks. That's his only part, so
okay, fine.
He doesn't need casting. George Clooney, Anna.
Sure, yeah. Meryl Streep's actual husband, that guy who just
sure, yeah.
comes to the Oscars every year, always looks uncomfortable.
So the next morning she wakes up and she looks at the photo on her bedside of two young twin girls from quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
She gets up and she goes to see one of them. Here is where we meet Brie Larson.
Oh, okay, interesting choice. So, 13 years...
I worked it out, they'd be about 25. See, when they were 12 in the first film? They might have been older than that.
Fair enough.
They'd be about 25. Brie Larson is 29.
Fair enough, that's passable.
Yeah.
I don't think Brie Larson's older than she is.
Yeah, I know, right?
I feel like she's been around a long time. So, yeah. Anyway.
She doesn't look 29.
She doesn't. She looks... Not that she looks bad, but she definitely looks a little older than that. So,
Yeah.
Sorry, Brie Larson fans.
I mean, obviously you do look bad as soon as you turn 30 onwards, so,
Yeah, it's hell. So, enjoy it while it lasts, kiddo.
Yeah, well, I'm struggling to look at you all the time.
Okay. Reel it back in.
Anyway, Brie Larson is a photographer living in her own studio. Mm-hmm. I've got some script here. Do you want to do some scripting?
Sure, who am I playing?
Okay, well, you can play Brie Larson.
Okay, and you'll play Meryl Streep.
Yeah. There you go. So from the top there, you've got that first line.
Okay. Hi, Mom. What a nice surprise.
Well, I thought seeing as you didn't have the common decency to attend my retirement party, I should pay you a visit so you have the chance to apologise and make it up to me.
I feel like you should be a little bit more withering about this.
Okay, sure.
Come on, channel Meryl. Well, I've been busy, Mom. You know, with my studio.
Yes, your studio, Meryl says, whilst pursing her lips.
This is the first time you've had the decency to set foot in here, isn't it?
Yes, I suppose it is. Well, it's about time I showed an interest in what you do.
Mom, what do you want?
What? A mother can't come and visit her daughter without an ulterior motive? Brie Larson to this just gives her a frown.
Well, do they have the same frown?
Yeah, definitely.
I think Brie Larson would be good playing Meryl Streep's daughter.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her, copying the mannerisms. I think she'd be very good at that.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm here to offer you my company. I want you to be the editor-in-chief of Runway and continue my legacy.
Really?
Brie Larson says with excitement and confusion.
Mom, why have you come to me and not my sister? You know very well that I have basically no interest in fashion compared to her.
I want you because you've got a good eye. Just look at these great photos, Meryl says while scanning through the nearest pile of prints she sees.
Mom, that's my reject pile. We both know that you don't care for my photography. I will not take your place at Runway because firstly, I would run the magazine into the ground, and more importantly, my sister is a much better choice. You need to realise that she is the best thing for Runway and indeed the fashion industry on the whole.
It's some good sizzle there. Yeah. With that, they say their goodbyes, and Meryl gets back into her Mercedes and is driven away. She goes to her other daughter's house. Her daughter, also living in a studio, is a fashion designer.
Oh, okay.
So, a bit more appropriate, really.
Sure, yeah.
Why
didn't she come to her first?
Pardon?
Are we about to find out?
Meryl takes a deep breath and knocks on the door. Mm-hmm. Her daughter answers and is played by Danielle MacDonald, who you may know from Dumpling or Bird Box.
Oh, yes. The main girl from Dumpling.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I see. So that's why Meryl doesn't like her, because she's a bit more heavy set.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
She's not a 4 or a 2.
She's not a 4 or a 2, no.
Yeah, once inside, Meryl asks her, while pouting the whole time, if she knows anyone who could take over Meryl's role at Runway. Mm-hmm. Danielle is clearly upset in the face, but doesn't say anything to convey that. She then gives Meryl a few names of other fashion designers that she knows. Mm-hmm. All people who are smaller in size than she is.
Okay. So is she, this Danielle MacDonald character, is she doing fashion, like standard fashion for skinny people, or is she doing plus-size fashion?
Plus-size fashion.
Okay.
Meryl just blankly thanks her and leaves without asking her anything personal at all, how she's doing, what she's up to, or anything like that.
She's such a disappointment.
And just before she gets into her car, she stops and hesitates and turns around and goes back to her daughter.
Aww.
Her daughter lets her back in and has clearly just been crying.
Aww.
Meryl, without making any eye contact, says, Danielle, it was wrong of me to treat you the way I have done. I know you struggled to grow up without a consistent father figure, and me being the way I am, I would like to offer you the job as editor-in-chief at Runway, if you'll take it. Nobody else has quite the eye that you've got.
Aw, that's very sweet.
And Danielle, again crying, walks up to Meryl and gives her a big hug, which initially Meryl's quite uncomfortable about, but then hugs her back, and we see Meryl smiling again over her shoulder.
Oh, is that the end?
I mean, that's pretty much the first half of the film.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's all I've written, but
okay.
Yeah, the rest of it would pretty much be Danielle sort of taking over this job, and despite many, many people disagreeing with her, just doing what she wants to the Runway magazine, which would be...
Oh, I mean, that's interesting. So is she going to, try and change the fashion industry and make it more body positive? Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah, because there'd be a lot of people against her.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I'd like to see her sort of go through that journey of, learning to fight for herself and for what she believes in.
Yeah, and is she going to still have the Tucci and Emily Blunt as her sister?
Definitely. Yeah.
So they're going to be horrified, obviously.
Yeah, Emily Blunt, I think, would hate it all the way through.
Yeah.
Potentially be the villain of the piece.
Probably, yeah.
Whereas,
and also she'll be bitter that she didn't get offered the job anyway.
Oh, yeah, big time, yeah.
Yeah.
And, Stanley Tucci, he can't be horrible, so...
No, he won't be horrible, but he'll definitely
he would be on board, maybe not initially, but definitely by the end.
She'll win him round. She'll melt his heart a little bit,
Yeah.
I can see that.
And then, maybe she gives him that promotion at the end.
I think so. I think, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun though if she's doing positive work. She's, trying to make the fashion industry more inclusive. But it'd be fun if also, while she was doing it, she became a lot more like her mum. So she started being very demanding. Maybe she says that's all the time. Well,
I'd like to see, her and Emily Blunt have just a bit of a, just kind of arguments and stuff. Emily Blunt maybe starts treating her like Meryl from the get-go, of just like, here's all your coffee and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, then that kind of turns Danielle into Meryl Streep by saying that's all at the end. And just because that's what Emily Blunt's expecting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see a lot of interesting things in this idea.
I think that'd be really good. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Great. So, the awful title I've got is The Devil's Daughter Wears Prada.
It's not great.
No, it's not, is it? It just doesn't roll off the tongue. The Daughter Wears Prada.
The Daughter Wears Prada. The Angel Wears Sweatpants.
Let's leave it untitled.
Leslie, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Untitled Devil Wears Prada sequel pitch. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Okay, well, I guess that brings us on to listener submissions before we wrap up.
Well, what do you got?
I've got plenty.
Okay, popular choice. I didn't know if this would be a big hit with the kind of people you Facebook group.
What do you mean, the kind of people?
Nerds.
How dare you? Okay, so I've got a fair few here. I've not read through them yet, so, enjoy the editing.
I always do.
Jerry Can, good name, says The Devil 2 wears harder.
Wears harder. That's nice, yeah.
Jude Fox says The Devil in the New City. Too obscure?
Like Sex in the City kind of thing, maybe?
Perhaps, I'm not sure. The Devil Wears Prada 2, Rise of Cromulon.
Rise of the Cromulon? Sure, okay.
That's definitely got something with it. That's from Chris Brown.
Okay.
DJ Nichols says God Wears Gucci.
God Wears Gucci, that's good.
That's a good one.
That's good,
yeah. Colin Spenrith says Jesus buys sneakers.
Jesus buys sneakers, there you go, yeah.
Christopher Pike says Cupid is a nudist.
Cupid is a nudist.
Yep, don't really know what that means, but yeah.
Oh, I get it. Angels, devils, Cupid, sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, and Cupid is a nudist. He's naked. It works, yeah. Layers.
Angie Kern says Satan Wears Satin, a rom-com prequel about Streep selling her soul to get into the fashion industry, but she and Satan end up falling in love.
Oh, she literally sells her soul. It's like, oh, interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
Prequel, though, is that like going to be very young Meryl? Are they going to de-age her? Recast Meryl? Well, I mean...
They did it with Mamma Mia.
Yeah, true. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sam Young says The Devil Wears Nada.
Yeah, I've had a few of those. Yeah, it's been a popular choice.
Sean Joseph Lamper says God Wears Knockoffs. Roger D. Moore Jr. says Devil 2 Electric Boogaloo. Standard.
A classic standard.
Yep. Oh, this one's a good one. Kui Ching Ru, I think your name is. 2 Devil, 2 Prada.
2 Devil, 2 Prada. Nice.
Always good. I put classic in the post and someone said, classic? Really?
See? Bloody nerds. It's not got a Stanley cameo, they just don't want to know.
Jordan Leframboise, I believe, says The Devil Wears Prada 2, Fight Club, Part 2, The Reckoning.
Okay, sure.
That's a lot.
I'm just imagining Meryl Streep in a Fight Club now, just like kicking 7 shades of shit out of somebody. Like.
Yeah. Tom Price says God Wears Sandals and White Socks.
Accurate, apparently.
And someone's replied saying with cargo shorts and a fanny pack.
Yes.
All of that, yes. This is surely this is the sort of thing that you'd be expecting, I think, from this.
Okay.
James McLean says The Devil Wears the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, for God's sake.
Meryl Streep makes her tired assistant gather Infinity Stones so she can snap up a better assistant.
I mean, it's not a terrible idea, but call it nerds. There are other things in the world.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think I've got a few of these, actually. The Devil Wears Primark.
Yes, that was one.
I'm sure you've got quite a few of those.
Yeah.
Paul Spooner says The Devil Wears Prada 2, Angel Wears Prada. Miranda dies and comes back as an angel to mentor Andy through the trials of life.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. Okay, Charlie Dudley, again, The Devil Wears Primark, but he said it's a documentary sequel that shows the horrors of how Primark clothes are actually made.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
Okay. Yeah, I have some as well. Ross Burson, friend of the podcast, said The Devil Wears Primark. Very crazy.
Is he?
He's a friend of the podcast, I guess.
Okay, sure.
So Ross Burton said The Devil Wears Primark, same plot but set in Leeds.
Nice.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Like, Meryl Streep is well known as being the mistress of the accent. I would love to see her putting on like a thick Yorkshire. That would be really good fun. I'm very much here for
fantastic.
that. Yeah. So Lewis Michael Powell said that The Devil Wears Gucci. Fernando J. Marcantal Willis said God Shops at Kmart.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Melissa Becker had an actual pitch. She said, Streep is pushed out of her job because Prince is dead and she's considered too old. She ends up working on becoming more woke with a group of young people who are protesting the magazine for their lack of racial representation. Fair enough, this was a very white movie.
Yeah.
In the end, she learns a lot about how to become more accepting of diversity and of her own experiences being ignored because of her age. These motivate her towards including people of all types in her new fashion blog. Eventually, she's offered her job back, but they won't let her do the cover because none of the advertisers make clothes in the size of the model she wants to use. She either refuses the job or takes it and does some wild issue that highlights this problem by having all of the models tastefully nude. That's not a million miles away from your thing, except you did it with the daughter. This one is like, Meryl has a change of heart and becomes more woke and more, inclusive. Which, yeah. Stuart Gipp said, The Devil Wears Prada, as in the French for two, de.
Oh, yeah,
Dieu,
yeah.
Dan Chapman said, Meryl Streep dies and goes into the body of a parrot. She then continues to influence Anne Hathaway's life in The Devil Wears Parrot. Sure.
Sure.
Ollie Brady said, Angels Wear Adidas.
Yep. Nice.
Daniel Eli said, God wears Crocs. He doesn't. There's a lot of these.
You say he doesn't?
Actually, how do I know? Maybe God does wear Crocs. Yeah.
How religious are you?
Yeah.
You sounded personally offended by that.
Yeah, actually, that was pure blasphemy. The God that definitely exists absolutely does not wear Crocs.
Yeah.
Adam Kushner said, Cthulhu wears khakis.
Yep, great.
Scott Hillman said, Andy gets a job as an editor at another fashion magazine, but this one's very different. Everyone wears jeans in the office, and it's very much more relaxed, so it's a big culture shock for her. Through looking at the books, she realises that Miranda wasn't actually making a lot of money at Runway, and through a series of web deals and marketing, her magazine becomes a real competitor, leading Miranda, as in Meryl, to declare war on her one-time protégé. So I guess they become rival magazine editors. That could be good.
Okay, yeah.
Greg Shepard said, The middle-aged devil wears M&S, Marks and Spencer's, British brand for our American listeners. Blokebusters said, The devil wears Nada.
Yep.
Very good guys. They also said, it's a risque film that Miranda did for no reason to move to France and live in a nudist colony. No plot, just lots of nude people. Including nude Meryl Streep, apparently. But
Wow,
sure,
great. Yeah.
We Watch Anything said, The Devil Wears Primark. Miranda is finally dismissed due to a series of HR complaints. She is unhireable due to the number of people she has destroyed, who will now no longer speak to her. Eventually, she ends up managing a budget clothing store with hilarious consequences. So like that. I mean, yeah, not an original title, but they had a good idea for it.
Yeah.
Quiz and Hers, at Quiz and Hers, said, Mephistopheles wears Versace. This one is actually about well-dressed demons, like the first one probably should have been. Porno Plots podcast, at Porno Plots, said, The devil no longer wears Prada. Aussie Nerd, at Aussie Nerd Pod, says, The devil wears Prada, but it's the actual devil from the show Lucifer.
Okay, yeah.
I've not seen Lucifer, but I get the idea.
That's for an episode or two. It was odd.
Okay. And finally, So I'm Watching, said, Andy gets revenge on her shitty friends and boyfriend by getting rich and not giving them any more presents.
Sure.
Fair. Good choice, Andy.
Yeah.
Cut them out. Cool. And those are our sequel ideas for The Devil Wears Prada. If you have any sequel ideas for The Devil Wears Prada or any films we've done in the past, please let us know. We are Beyond the Box Set. You can find us at beyondtheboxset.com. Our podcast is available on all good podcasting platforms, including iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play. You name it, we're on it. You can also find us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Just search Beyond the Box Set or at Beyond the Box Set on Twitter. Our Patreon is patreon.com/Beyond the Box Set. We have exclusive merchandise available at tpublic.com. Again, just search Beyond the Box Set. And we are a proud member of the Pave Media Podcasting Network. Go to pavemedia.net to find out how we can help your podcast to build its audience and connect with fellow podcasters.
Great stuff. And so next week, we're actually having a Patreon episode.
We are having a Patreon. We're having a guest, yes.
Yeah, so it should be a good time. We're having Louise Ball come on, or a returning guest,
yes. Yeah. You may remember her from such podcast episodes as Burlesque and... What's the first one?
Garden State,
yes. Ugh. 2 high-quality movies.
Yeah, sure. Well, she's completing the trilogy.
Okay.
By doing a film known as Clueless.
Ooh, fun. That is a genuinely great film.
Cool. Well, I've not seen it before, so...
Well, I mean, I can never tell with you, but I like it, so...
So thank everybody for listening, and come back next week for Clueless.
Yep. See you next week.
Thank
Bye.
You. Bye.
That's all.